Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and today I'm going to be doing something different once again. I'm not going to be reviewing a movie, nor am I reviewing one episode of a television series. Instead, I'm going to be reviewing an entire television series, which in this case is Breaking Bad, created by Vince Gilligan and which aired on AMC from 2008 to 2013 and stars Bryan Cranston, Anna Gunn, Aaron Paul, Dean Norris, Bob Odenkirk, Jonathan Banks, Giancarlo Esposito, and RJ Mitt, among many, many others. This is a show that's been on television for 5 years, so a lot of people. But I hopefully I named all the primary players. So let's firstly alleviate one concern that some of you might have. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. I will be respectful of people who have not seen Breaking Bad yet. This is just going to be, I'm going to give a synopsis and just give my, brief overall thoughts of the show, but I'm not going to give away any major plot points, nothing that you don't know about the premise of the show already. So you're safe, you're in safe hands with me. And second thing to address is that this is widely considered to be the greatest show that has ever aired on television, if not one of, but if not one of the greatest shows. Some will even go so far as to say this is the best television show, period. Nothing else can surpass it. Am I in that camp? Yeah, actually. This is one of those things that I started watching and I fell more and more in love with it as I got further and further into the story. Um, it's it's just one of those love at first sight situations, I guess, with Breaking Bad. But to be fair, if you want to take my opinion with a grain of salt, please go ahead, because I will admit that I'm not a big fictional scripted television person. When I do watch network TV at all, it's to either watch the news, to watch cooking shows, which I'm very fond of, cooking competition shows in particular, to watch like one of those like rescue shows where a bad restaurant or a bad hotel or something gets rehabilitated, like Bar Rescue or Kitchen Nightmares. But I'm not really big into television. I'll just be honest with you. This Breaking Bad's like one of the few shows I've watched from start to finish, aside from the Twilight Zone, to be honest with you. So yeah, just not a big TV guy, but still, I thoroughly enjoy Breaking Bad, and I do think it's one of the best things that I've seen on television to date. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into just a brief spoiler-free synopsis of the show. So, Breaking Bad centers around very overqualified, genius level high school chemistry teacher Walter White, who lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He has a wife, he has a son, he has a baby on the way, and this guy just has, the worst luck in the world. He's an overqualified high school teacher, because this guy is like genius level. He could like be like the chief scientist for NASA or something. He also works at a crappy job at a car wash just to make ends meet, so he has to teach and he has to do that. And to make matters worse, he's just been diagnosed with lung cancer, and it's believed that he doesn't have long to live. So, in order to leave behind some money for his family, he starts cooking meth with a former chemistry student of his, Jesse Pinkman, who just so happens to be a drug dealer. So he pretty much forces Jesse Pinkman into a partnership with him, and things get cooking from there in all the best ways possible. And yeah, that's all you'll get from me as far as the story goes. And it was a really well made, well acted story for the vast majority of it, for the most part, from start to finish. For the vast majority from start to finish. I do have like a few gripes slash nitpicks, but other than that, I love the hell out of this show. I had a blast watching it from start to finish, and by blast I mean this was just a really engaging show, because light-hearted affair it is not. I guess I mean it's about somebody who cooks meth, so I'm sure you know this already, and it's rated TV MA. But for the faint-hearted, Breaking Bad is not. Blood, gore, language throughout. So yeah, not for sensitive eyes, but I still had a blast, watching it from start to finish, like a compelling drama from start to finish. And yeah, it all. It's just a solid, well acted, well told story. I do have like I said, I do have some gripes. It's not without any flaw whatsoever. Season one kind of had like a slightly conflicting tone. It felt in some parts like more so of a dark comedy than a drama. But by the end of season one, I was hooked. So again, tiny nitpicks. Also, another thing was at first, again, I emphasize at first. I was like, are these guys? None of these main characters, the ones that I guess I'm supposed to care about, are really likable at all. And one of them, Hank Schrader, Walter White's DEA agent brother-in-law, just straight up annoyed me, like making just like these racist jokes. I was just like, oh shit. So is one of the main characters, are they really gonna make one of the main characters of this show unlikable, like kind of like middle-aged frat boy racist douchebag? But no, thankfully they do not. As the show goes on and as more is revealed, as people are fleshed out more, it gets better. So yeah, that concern was alleviated by the end of season one. So season one was still pretty solid, but from season 1 to 5 of this show, I would say season 1 was the only season where I'm like, which makes sense because you're just starting out with the story, where I was just like, I don't know about this. Maybe it won't live up to the hype. But by the end of season 1, again, I was hooked, I was invested, and I was in love, frankly. It's that good. Other couple of other couple of nitpicks. Second nitpick is some of the acting by some of the definitely like more minor characters, like background characters who aren't really a big part of the show, was kind of like a bit like hammy, campy, over the top. It was kind of like hard for me. Some of the acting kind of took me out of the show a little bit, because it's obviously going for a gritty, grounded crime drama feel, but some of like the background really minor characters who are maybe in like 1 or 2 episodes of the show, I was like, you're kind of overdoing it. It's like you're almost doing like a Law and Order parody. I'm kind of like, I'm just not feeling you. Sorry. But again, those characters are not part of the principal cast. They don't have a lot of screen time, so didn't compromise the overall experience at all. But I do have to address that. Last thing, and this is especially noticeable in season 1, where the show at points asks you to suspend your disbelief. And in part, it makes sense because, the story has to continue. If, it was completely realistic, this show would have been over in season 1. But, they had a complete saga that stretches across multiple seasons to unravel. So I can understand why you would be asked to suspend your disbelief for a little bit. But especially in season 1, there are moments where there are things that characters do where I'm saying to myself, you would be caught. There's no possible way that nobody saw you do that, and there's no way you could just walk away from that. Absolutely not. I don't care how you're feeling. I don't care if you feel reckless or invincible. You would have gotten caught for that. And I'm sorry, that's somewhat of a small flaw because it's too noticeable. Like, there's just no way you would get away with that. But again, in the grand scheme of things, it makes sense because this wasn't a one and done thing. This was meant to be a television series, and they wanted to tell an epic story that stretched across multiple seasons. So while also like trying to prove a point to let you know that some characters do feel like they can get away with anything and are feeling a bit more careless and reckless. So I get it. In the grand scheme of things, I will suspend my disbelief to continue to watch the story, but I have to address that because it's like, how did you just walk away from that? But I get it. And yeah, that's really all I have to say from the pilot episode to the final episode. This was a solid crime epic that actually subverted a lot of the tropes that I've come accustomed to with watching, a lot of crime stories. Some of my all-time favorite movies are gangster movies like Scarface, Goodfellas, The Godfather. There are elements of that, of course, borrowed. Vince Gilligan definitely borrowed from those shows in creating Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad definitely still feels like its own unique thing, and it all comes back to just one of the best performances ever put to screen by Bryan Cranston. Like, wow, man. Wow. The journey that Walter White goes on in this show is just one for the books, one for the ages. And everyone else is phenomenal too. I'm not leaving out anybody. The entire cast is awesome in this show. So yeah, I definitely wholeheartedly recommend it. Breaking Bad is one of the best television shows I've seen to date. Will another show, possibly in the Breaking Bad universe, take its place? Maybe so. Haven't gotten to it yet, but who knows? So wrapping it up, there's not a single bad episode of this show. There was never a point in this show apart from, some of the stuff I mentioned, like some of the characters could be a bit too hammy in my opinion, and some of the stuff it's like, how did you get away with that? Apart from that, there's not a single bad episode in Breaking Bad. Every episode held my attention from the start to finish. There were moments that even just made my hair stand up on end, just really affected me personally, got into my head personally. So I gotta give Breaking Bad a perfect 10 out of 10 for just being one of the most gripping, most thrilling crime sagas that I've ever seen, not just in television but ever. Really solid show, and now I understand the hype, I understand the praise, and I will definitely revisit the show again in the future. I gotta give it another rewatch after this, but yeah, if you got Netflix, definitely give Breaking Bad a watch. And for those of you who have watched my other videos, let me know how I did talking about a television show. This is an entire television show. This is a first for me. In the past, I've only reviewed TV individual episodes. I never reviewed an entire television series until now. So let me know if you want this to be a regular thing going forward. I actually already have a couple of shows that I do want to binge watch and talk about on this channel already, but feel free to throw out suggestions and let me know how you like me reviewing television shows instead of just single episodes. But again, 10 out of 10 for Breaking Bad. I wholeheartedly recommend you check this out if you have Netflix. And this has been another edition of Wade Watches, where I've reviewed my first TV show. I'll see you all next time. Peace.